right, you're on.
Hey, everybody. I'm sorry we're a little behind here. I tell you, every time I think that I have technical things worked out, something happens. I go through more laptops than anybody that I know. So I apologize. We had last minute technical issues, not Matthew's fault, the fault of a brand new computer, and my other computer crashed. Not worth going into it. The fact is, I am so glad that you are here, and I got a really cool presentation to share with you, especially if you either are a landlord or you're thinking about being a landlord. So at any rate, it appears that you won't get to see me, but the important thing is you will get to see the examples. What I want to do is just talk in general about the benefits of doing notes over landlords. And then I want to show you a couple examples. One of how you can get super high rates of return. Another, one of my favorite ones, of how to build a legacy when you don't have any money of your own. And I've got a special example to show you that actually was from the CORE meeting Tuesday night when I was up there, a real deal that one of the gals had there. And I'm going to share that with you as well. So we've got some cool things. And as you know, for everybody that is still on the webinar, at the end, we will do a drawing for you to get a free copy of my negotiating audio classes, which are really, really good. They're good, not just for real estate, but for life in general. So make sure you hang on to the end when we do that. Before I get started, though, in case you haven't already signed up for the Note Buyers the Note Buyers Academy, today is the last day to save $900. So if you're thinking about going, try to do it today. You can go to thenotebuyer.com and get all the details on it. And for those of you who are already signed up, if you still need to get your hotel reservation, if you scroll down to the bottom, you can plug into our room block. The hotel rooms are only $129 a night if you register through our room block. So enough for that. Let's talk about why, if you are a landlord, why you really ought to get to know about notes. And I want to tell you the top 5 reasons why you need to know, except it appears that they're not in order. There we go. First of all, you make more money. Isn't that reason enough? I'm not kidding you. I have done notes. I have done properties. I've done everything. You name it, I've done it. I've done lease options, subject to, wholesaling. I've flipped notes. I've invested in notes. I've tried everything. And the fact of the matter is, I always come back to making the most money with notes. And I can make much higher rates of return. Plus, I make more money just in general. If I want to flip, to make some quick money, I can make more money with notes than I can with the property. And all the while, it's with less headaches. Just think about this. With notes, there are no vacancies. Can you imagine life with no vacancies? And here's one for you: no bed bugs. I mean, you don't get any of the headaches that you have with properties when you invest in notes, because the thing is, you are controlling the real estate without owning it. You have all the security of a real estate investment, but none of the headaches, because the owner of the house is the one that has to take care of those things. So you don't have to worry about 3 o'clock in the morning phone calls because somebody's got their radio or their music up too loud. You don't have to worry about any rehabs. No more rehabs. No more drunk contractors on the job. No more irate tenants. No more worrying about domestic disputes. None of that stuff. You don't deal with any of that. With notes, it truly is, or can be, a passive investment. Depends on whether you want to actively be involved in buying and selling notes and restructuring them, or if you just want to invest your money in them and sit back and passively get a phenomenal rate of return. And then there's no risk, or we'll say lower risk, because the fact is that if you do your homework and you evaluate the note and do your due diligence before you invest in a note, it is virtually risk-free. Because here's the thing: if in a worst case scenario, the borrower quits paying, then you have the property. At that point, yes, you would take over the property. Either you would get a deed in lieu of foreclosure, or even if you actually had to foreclose and take the property, one way or another, you're going to get the deed to the property. And then you're going to turn around and sell that property. Well, you don't have to. I mean, you could keep the property. Shoot, you could move into it if you wanted to, or you could keep it for a rental. Or if you're not wanting any property, you simply sell it. And when you sell it, you recoup whatever your investment was. And I'll tell you something, typically when that happens, you're going to wind up making a much higher rate of return because you're going to get extra money. Instead of just recouping what they owed, if you wind up with the property, you're going to you have the opportunity to sell it and recoup some of that equity money. The equity that was over and above what you had invested, you could actually put some of that in your pocket. So for that reason, it is much less risky than if you're investing in the real property. With notes, there is less time involvement. I mean, like I said, you could essentially have it be a completely passive investment. What I like to do is for the notes that I'm holding, I put those in my self-directed IRA, and I just sit back, and once a month I go in, like on the 5th of the month or whenever I want, and I go in and check to make sure everybody made their payments. Isn't that a lot less time than what you're spending right now managing all of your properties and having to collect rents and deal with it if they're late and all that kind of stuff? You just don't have that when you are investing in notes. Now, I should say, if you're buying, I'm talking about investing in seller carrybacks, where you have done your due diligence and you know that you're buying a performing note with excellent pay history. Now, there's all different levels of notes that you can buy. If you are willing to deal with some late payments, then you're probably going to get a much higher rate of return. But at least you're being compensated for it. And you're doing it based on what you choose to do. It's the old risk versus reward thing. If you're willing to accept a note that has like a couple of late pays, then be prepared for that. But you're probably going to get a much higher rate of return. But overall, what I'm talking about is investing in performing seller carryback notes where they've made payments on time for 12 months or 24 months or however long it is. But the fact is they have an established pay history. And if they've been paying on time every month for a period of time, then the chances are they're not going to start not paying you, not unless there's a major catastrophe. They've lost a job or something like that happened. And in fact, with one of my notes that I'm joint venturing on with one of my students, the gal, she did run into problems. And even though she had an on-time pay history, I can't remember now, I want to say for several years. And so she contacted me. And we worked out a deal. So she's paying $400 instead of $600. And she's already put the property up for sale. And guess what? She's going to sell it for way more than what is owed because I did my due diligence. Okay. I made sure that there was plenty of equity securing that note. And so my partner and I, we agreed that we would give her 6 months to sell the property. We'll get paid off. She'll still walk away with her equity, and that'll be great. And if by some chance she doesn't follow through and do that, then she will give us a deed in lieu, and we won't even have to foreclose. Then we'll put it up for sale. But this is really a win-win because we're getting an early payoff on the note. So our rate of return is going to go up. So do you see, when you're dealing with notes, you truly can tailor make an investment that will fit your level of comfort, okay? And it will fit the level of return that you're looking for. But truly, you can do these deals and have way, way less time invested than if you owned the property. The other thing about notes is it gives you much greater flexibility. Shoot, I can be doing my note deals. I could be doing them when I was sitting on the beach. I could be down in the Caribbean enjoying my time down there and soaking up the sun. And as long as I have internet capability, I could be working my deals right there. So with notes, you're not tied down. As long as you have an internet connection, if you have overnight mail capability and a cell phone, man, you're in business. It's not like you have to be there checking out the property or collecting rents or dealing with maintenance issues. You don't have any of that when you're dealing with notes. The bottom line is that notes not only give you the money to live your dream life, they give you the time to live your dream life. You know, what good is it if you have all this money that you can live the lifestyle you want if you're all tied up managing the properties? What good does that do? If you are looking for money and time to enjoy your friends and your family, notes is the way to go. It is so much better than being a landlord. I'll tell you a little secret here. So, you know, as part of my talk, if you've heard my talk before, I tell you that it's really a wise thing to have a balanced portfolio. You want to have some of your money in notes so that you get the super high rates of return, and they're easy to do and headache free. But it is a good idea to have some properties because you get great tax benefits and you can capture some of the appreciation if we're in a market that with increasing values. And so one time I was talking and I said that, I thought, you know, I probably ought to buy some more properties. So my son Ben and I got together and we bought some properties. And so we've got rentals. And you know what? We also have to deal with the bed bugs that I was talking about, vacancies that I was talking about, drug addicts. I mean, you name it, all this stuff. And Ben and I both came to the realization at the same time, what in the heck were we thinking? You know, and I've come to the conclusion that if you are investing in real estate, if you do it as a business, where you have it all set up and you have your systems in place and you have people that are, you know, you've got your maintenance people and all that, which we have a really good maintenance guy. But if you have systems in place or you're using a property management company, then you probably are in better shape than like if you're trying to just buy a couple of extra properties, 5 or 10 properties or a few properties, and you're just doing it on the side. It's not worth the time and trouble. Any day of the week, I would do a note before I would buy a property. Okay, so let me show you an example of the kind of returns that you can get if you're doing notes. Some of you may have seen this before, but I love this in particular because Miss Annie used to be a landlord. And she's a classic example of why landlords get out of owning the property and move into notes. You know, I can't tell you how many times I talk to people, and many of my investors are former landlords. And they all say the same thing. Man, why didn't somebody tell me this in the beginning? I probably never would have bought properties. I just would have done notes. And I have helped, I don't countless, I don't know how many landlords convert their properties into notes. I tell you about the man that really got me into notes. And over the years, we've done over 100 deals. And he had about 35 properties when I first met him. And as soon as he realized that, hey, I was going to supply him with notes, then he started selling off his properties one by one. And he would either carry back a note and then and just invest in it outright, or he would sell the property, get the cash, and invest in one of my notes. And this is basically what Miss Annie did. She owned a bunch of properties. I mean, years ago, when it wasn't even popular for women to be in real estate. And as she got older, she decided landlording was not for her. So she sold off each of her properties and she carried back a note. So she sat back and collected payments on the note. At the time that she got in touch with us, what was happening was she's very ill, and it was very sad, but she was on the downside of life, and she was trying to get all of her affairs in order so that her children would not have to deal with, so that she would leave them with cash and they would not have to deal with notes or properties or anything. And so it just so happened that Rick, who is a student of mine, he had sent direct mail letters out, and she responded to one of our direct mail letters. And well, the interesting thing is that I am in Cincinnati, Rick is in Detroit, and Miss Annie was in Texas. But it didn't matter. Their geographic location did not matter. So she calls up and she says, look, I've already made boatloads of money on this property. Those were her words, boatloads of money. And she said, if I can get $80,000, I will gladly sell this note. Well, we offered her $80,475. And that worked out to be over a 25% rate of return. Are you getting 25% on your real estate investments? Because I know a lot of people sure aren't. So do you see that if you had 80,000 available right now that you wanted to invest, instead of buying another property, you could have bought this note from Miss Annie. And if you did nothing but sit back and collect payments for the rest of the life of that note, you'd be making over 25% on your money. Headache free. Just sit back and collect the payments. I want that to sink in, because I'm thinking that some of you are out there going, oh my gosh, I was looking at buying another rental property. I think I want to buy a note instead. So what if you don't have $80,000, but you could use some extra cash? Maybe you were thinking of flipping a house. Let me show you how easy it is to flip a note. What I did, if you want to make money on this note, let me first tell you the secret to make money flipping a note. All you need to do is find an investor who wants a lower return than 25%. Whatever you're buying it for, you just find an investor who wants a lower rate of return, because that means they're going to pay more than what you're paying. So let's say that I'm at the local RIA group and I'm talking to, oh, wait a minute, wait, that's not what I did on this deal. What I did on this deal was I called up Ivan Investor. Now, I knew that he lived in Texas, but I didn't know it, but he actually lived a half hour away from this property. And so I talked to him, and Rick and I agreed to sell this note to Ivan Investor for $95,000. Now, the truth of the matter is we easily could have gotten $100,000, but he was ready, willing to go, close right away, and Miss Annie needed the cash right away. And so Rick and I agreed that we would prefer to go ahead and sell it to him, and we wound up making net profit just under $14,000. We paid for an appraisal and our closing costs. And so we split just under $14,000. And we were very, very happy with that. And Miss Annie was thrilled because we cashed her out right away. But let me tell you, I think the guy who got the best deal was Ivan Investor. It turned out that Ivan, for a living, he helped people to improve their credit and refinance. He is actually an attorney. And so 3 months after he bought this note, he helped the borrower to refinance. And 3 months later, on his $95,000 investment, he got a $117,000 payoff. So he made 96% on his money. Now, clearly, I hope you realize that, and I know that he did. I know he did because he sent me an email as soon as he closed this and said, "Hey, Donna, do you have another note?" He said, I just got a payoff on this. And so he knew that when you get that early payoff, you wouldn't give up a 25% investment to turn around and put the money in a 2 or 3% CD. He knew the name of the game was get the early payoff, get a super, super high rate of return, and then turn around and put your money right back out there at a nice high yielding investment. If you are wanting to build a legacy, this is an awesome way to do it. Are you getting 96% on your money? And I mean, this is just a great way to do it. Again, no headaches, no risk. I mean, it is a great way to make money. So one of the takeaways on this is when your discounted mortgage pays off early, your rate of return skyrockets. So anytime that you can get that early payoff, you want to encourage it, but just make sure that you turn around and buy another high yielding mortgage. Okay. I want to show you a sample of how you can maximize your fix and flip profits with partials. A partial is when you just buy or sell part of the note. And I love partials. You know, I make good money just flipping entire notes, but I make fantastic money when I do a partial. So I'm going to show you this, and then I'm going to show you a real deal that Deb from Columbus did using this same philosophy. So if you want to maximize your fix and flip profits, the first thing, let's say that you borrowed private money for a rehab, okay? You could turn around and then sell the property. You do the rehab, you could turn around and sell the property with seller financing for, let's say, $70,000, okay? But the problem is you need $40,000 because you have to pay off the private loan, right? Well, I'm going to show you how you can sell a partial to pay off the loan and pull out cash. Now, the fact is, I'm first going to show you how you could sell the entire note. But when you do that, you're giving away some of your profit. I would much rather see you sell a partial, pay off the loan, and that way you're keeping most of the profit for yourself. And the reason you're keeping most of the profit is you're going to sell just enough to pay off the loan, and you're going to keep the remaining payments for your own cash flow. So partials really do allow you to totally maximize your profit. So here's the first example. Let's say you want to sell the entire note. So you have just rehabbed this property. It's worth $70,000, and you sell it on a seller carryback with a $70,000 mortgage. Now, honestly, I would recommend that you get a down payment. But for the sake of making this example simple, I'm just saying you sell it 100% financing for $70,000. Well, here's the thing. When you buy or excuse me, when you sell a note, the whole note, an investor's going to look at this and they're going to say, look, the most I'm going to invest in this is 70%. They're looking at their ITV. ITV is investment to value. And they're saying, I'm not willing to go any more than 70% of the fair market value on this. So that means that if you sell that $70,000 note, the most they're willing to pay, because the property's worth $70,000, the most they're going to pay you is $49,000. That means you're taking a $21,000 haircut. That's a pretty big discount considering all the work that you put into that. So to recap, you're going to sell the note for $49,000. You're going to pay off the rehab loan, and you wind up with a net profit of $9,000. I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound so good. I mean, some people might want to do it, but let me show you a much better way to do this deal. Instead of selling the whole note, only sell $56,000 worth of payments. Okay? If you just sell payments, they would be willing to go up to 80%. Now that's 80%, the value of those payments before the discount. They'll go up to an 80% loan to value. And they will pay 90 cents on the dollar for those $56,000 worth of payments. So that means they'll pay you $50,400 for the right to collect $56,000 worth of payments. That's 90 cents on the dollar. So that means you only took a discount of $5,600. Do you see? You only lost $5,600 and you're getting over $50,000 in cash. Isn't that much better than the other scenario? So to recap, you sell $56,000 of payments, and an investor would buy those for $50,400. That you pay off your rehab loan of 40 grand, and that means you're going to make $10,400 right now, right out of the gate at the closing. But that's not all you make, because you're going to collect those last payments. So you're going to collect $14,000 worth of payments on the back end. So you make an extra $15,400. Your total profit by just selling part of the note is $24,400 instead of $9,000 if you had sold the entire note. Isn't that amazing? Who would have thought? Who knew, as they say? You know what I mean? But let me tell you why this works, primarily because of the time value of money. And this is something that I've got some great teachings on that I'm going to talk about at the Note Buyers Academy at the end of September. When you start getting a handle on the time value of money, and you can start using that to your own advantage. And it's almost like creating money out of thin air. It really is amazing. But it's because of that, and it's because we structured the deal smart. Instead of allowing the investor to discount the entire note, you only sell them the safe part of the note. So you take less of a discount and you keep the tail end of the note. Okay? Pretty cool, isn't it? So let me show you how Deb used this exact same strategy. She hasn't completed the deal yet, but this is her game plan. So right now, she is selling a house on land contract, and she sent this over to me just a few days ago. And she has this, I think she's got it on Craigslist, although it was really funny because she presented this, or I presented it for her at the Landlords subgroup at CORE. And do you know that she actually got a buyer right then and there one of the investors sitting in the room wants this property. This is really sweet. So, but she had this advertised, I believe, on Craigslist. She was selling the house for $79,900. She was asking for a $15,000 down payment. And she was financing then $64,000. And that PV stands for present value. So when we stick this in our calculator, we're going to put 64,000 into the present value. The interest rate, or I, will be 8%. And she proposed a 180-month term. So when we put this in our calculator, we will put 180 into N. Okay. N stands for number of months or number of payments. And then the monthly payment based on these terms would be $620.22. Now, she happens to have an underlying bank loan of $45,000, which needs to be paid off. Sometimes you can do what's called a wrap mortgage. People always ask me that in order to do a seller carryback, does it have to be a free and clear property? Well, not necessarily. And again, at the Academy, that's one of the things that I'm going to teach you how to do is a wrap around mortgage. Or if you live in a deed of trust state, it would be an all-inclusive deed of trust. But for right now, I want to show you how she can, at closing, she can sell this note and pay off the bank loan, okay, out of her proceeds. Now, this works out to be an 81% loan to value, $64,000 divided by the purchase price of $79,900. So these are great terms. Because she's getting $15,000 down, that's a lot of equity. So as a note buyer, if I'm looking at buying this note, I'm real happy with this deal. 81%, 80 is usually the guideline for buying a note. And I'm thinking this could be a pretty sweet deal. I think this would be very easy. If she creates this note, she could easily find an investor to flip that to. Now, I do think that it would behoove her in this case to season the note. Season means to collect some payments, establish a pay history. And most people, the general rule of thumb is if the down payment is less than 10%, then most investors are going to want a 12-month pay history, okay? But since they're putting down almost 20%, I think if she seasoned this note for 6 months, she could easily sell the entire note. So let's look at this. Now, I know some of you have probably never even picked up a financial calculator, so don't worry about what I'm writing here. But for those of you who know how to use the calculator, I wanted to just show you my calculations. So what you would do here is first calculate the payment. So you're going to put in your number of payments, the interest rate, you put in the present value, which is the amount of the loan. And this is fully amortized. There's no balloon. So you'll put 0 in future value, which is the end of the loan. And what's very cool when you're using a financial calculator is you put 4 of these 5 components in, you press payment, and it will give you the payment amount. So this tells us, it confirms that her payment is correct at $620.22. Well, the first thing I want to do is look at the balance after 6 months of payments. So she's going to season this note for 6 months, let's say. So all you have to do is put 6 into N, solve for future value, and this tells you that if you lend $64,900 at 8% interest and they make 6 payments of $620, then they will still owe $63,755. Now, when I'm doing my calculations, I like to set it up like this with the present value of the remaining. And don't let that term scare you. All it's doing, I'm just putting the current balance in a different position so it lines it all up and it makes it real easy for me to do my calculations. So basically, this is saying that if you have 174 monthly payments left, okay, that's 180 minus the 6 payments that have been made. So you put 174 in N. If you have 174 payments of $620.22, and the interest rate on the note is 8%, then the present value or the current balance of that note is $63,755. And notice that's the same as the balance after 6 months. We're just lining it up different to make the calculations easy. So that's just an added step that I like to do. So let's say that your investor wants a minimum of a 10% discount. Some investors, depending on the deal, they want a 5% minimum discount, but it depends. But I'm for sake of example here, I'm using a 10% minimum discount. So they're going to pay 90% of the current balance that's owed on that note. Do you see that? So our investor would pay $57,380 for Deb's note. Okay. And if we solve for I, if we put 57,000, and that I'd make that negative 57,380, and we put that in PV and we solve for I, that tells us that an investor would be making 9.84% on their money if they invest $57,380 into this note. So out of the $57,000, Deb, you would pay the $45,000 out of that money, and you would get cashed out. You would walk away with $12,380. Okay. And don't forget, Deb already got her $15,000 down payment. So her total profit on this deal is $27,380. Deb thought that was a great deal. She was very happy that she would walk away on this deal making $27,380. But now I want to show you a better way to do it. If Deb needs top dollar out of this deal, this might be a very good thing for her to do. But, oh, I forgot about this. Why would she sell this with seller financing? Why wouldn't she just put it on the MLS and look for somebody that's qualified to get a bank loan? Well, there's several reasons. First of all, and I think probably the biggest reason is if you are providing the financing, now you've got a much, much larger potential buyer's pool. Do you see that? Because they don't have to qualify for a bank loan. There are a whole lot of good potential buyers that for one reason or another, they've got a little glitch with their credit. Something's up and they can't get a bank loan, but yet they can give you, maybe they can give you a pay history. They've got good credit other than a glitch, or maybe they've got good credit, but yet they haven't been at their job for 2 years. You know, it's things like that. But there's good people that would pay on time that can't get a bank loan. And so that creates a whole lot more buyers for you. And that means that you're going to be able to sell much quicker because you don't have to wait for all the bank approvals and all this kind of things. Okay. So, and another thing, a lot of people prefer to sell with seller financing, especially on the high-end properties. Somebody's got $1 million property. They don't want to take the capital gain right then. I mean, they would much rather spread it out on an installment sale to spread out their taxes over time rather than take the hit all in 1 year. So those are reasons why people will typically sell with seller financing. So going back to our situation here with Deb, what if Deb's goal was to build future monthly cash flow? What if it isn't to go out and buy another property? Well, my suggestion to her was she should just sell part of the note and keep the rest. Let me show you how that looks. Let's say that she seasons the note for 3 months and just sells part of it, okay? So let's say she decides that she's going to sell 110 payments, okay? So this tells us that without any discount, that if she's going to sell 110 payments of $620.22 each, and the note is written at 8%, the value of those 110 payments before any discount is $48,239. That's why I love to put this extra line in, when I'm doing my 4 infallible steps, because this tells you what the value of the note is before you start doing any discounting, okay? So this tells us that the 110 payments that she's going to sell is worth $48,239. So let's say an investor looks at this and says, I'd buy these notes, or this note, these payments, if I could make 9% on my money. Well, if they're looking for a 9% rate of return, that means that they would pay $46,343. Okay? So out of that, Deb would pay the bank loan off for $45,000, and that still leaves $1,343 for closing costs, because there's no sense in her having to put in money just to sell the note. Okay? So what's going to happen is she's going to get to keep the tail end of of that note. There's 177 payments left, because we said she's going to season it for 3 months. So if there's 177 payments left and she sells 110 of them, after that investor collects 110 payments, then she's going to step in and she's going to collect the remaining payments. Okay, so 67 payments times, let me just double check something here. I did this right before I got on, and I want to make sure I'm telling you correct. Wait a minute. 2. That is correct. Okay, so 67 payments. She's gonna collect those, and if it goes to the take out that plus interest, because that actually includes the interest. Okay. The $41,554 is principal and interest. Okay. So she also got her $15,000 as a down payment, and that means her total profit on this deal is $56,554. It's a little bit more than the $27,380 that she would have got for the whole note. The thing is, she's staying in the deal. When you give up your deal, a lot of times you're giving away a huge portion of the profit. And if you want to keep the discount at a minimum when you are selling a note, the way to do that is to sell a very super safe partial, because investors will pay more for a partial. Because here in this case, look, this is a great deal. It's a very low loan to value. It's a no-brainer. And an investor loves the idea that Deb's staying in the deal behind the investor. Okay? Because what's going to happen if the borrower defaults? I have a pretty good feeling that Deb is going to step back in there and take care of this, because she doesn't want to lose her last 67 months of payments. So that makes for a much safer deal for the investor. Isn't that pretty sweet? And see, if you did not know about the time value of money and you did not know about partials, you would simply think, okay, I'll carry back a note and I'll just sell it and cash out. But look, you'd be giving away half of the profit. These are the kind of things that I'm going to get into at the Note Buyers Academy. And it's coming up September 27th through the 30th, at the end of September. And today is the last day that you can get the the $900 early bird special. So I really, really encourage you, if you are able to make it. Hey, Matthew, would you mind pulling that up on the screen for me? Are you able to do that? Um, it is just a phenomenal event. It's an experience. It's if you like, if you have the media set, or if you enjoy these webinars, but really it's better than the webinar because I'm standing there in person. It's live. I'm going to be sharing real deals. Some of my students even will bring deals. If you have a note that you want me to look at, I'll analyze it in front of the room. Last year, I even called the note seller and we put him on the microphone, and everybody heard me negotiate the deal right then and there, right in front of the class. So if you like live teaching, it is just a phenomenal time. Somebody asked me today, is this going to be more about theory or is it going to be more how to? It's going to be both, okay? And in that, I'm going to tell you all about how to analyze a deal, how to do your evaluations, how to do your due diligence. I'm going to cover all of that, okay? But we're going to have role playing, so you'll learn exactly what to say to the note seller. I'll have you analyze. I'm going to break down tables into groups. And you'll, as a group, analyze deals and come up with quotes and everything. So what'll happen is by the time that Sunday afternoon comes, when you go home, you'll feel like a pro because you will be eating, drinking, and sleeping notes for 4 days. But it's not just education. One of the things that I have learned to do, which everybody really appreciates, is I include all your meals. This is going to be at the Radisson Hotel, which is right on the riverfront in Cincinnati. It's actually in Covington, Kentucky, looking at the Cincinnati riverfront. And so it is at the Radisson Hotel. We're going to go up on the 16th floor. I include your meals. You can see some of the pictures here. If you'll stop scrolling for a second, Matthew. This is on the cruise. These pictures are on the cruise. On Saturday night, I take you on a riverboat cruise, and we go up the river for an hour and a half. We have a great dinner there, and then we come back down. And so we get away and we have some fun. You know, when you're in the classroom for 4 days, sometimes you just have to get away for a little bit. And so this is another chance for you to get to know one another. What I started to tell you before is I provide all the meals. These are really nice buffet meals. We go up on the 16th floor of the Radisson, and you can sit with whoever you want. You get to know everybody. You'll make friends that you'll have for years. You'll be able to network with these people, different people. Like some people might want to focus on commercial. Some will want to focus on non-performing. Some will want to do seller financing. And so it'll be really cool because you'll have the opportunity to network with one another. So it really is a great experience. I'll tell you, it is such a cool experience that I usually have at least a half a dozen people that come back over and over and over again. Some people have attended the Academy 5 or 6 times. I used to have these 4 times a year, but nowadays I only have them once a year. So if you miss out in September, you're going to have to wait a whole year to come. Now, the tuition for the Academy is $2,497 for one person, and you can bring your spouse or your partner or business partner for an extra $600. And that's primarily to cover the cost of the food and the cruise and everything. Today is the last day that you can get the early bird special. Okay, the early bird special is $1,597 for one person. Okay, and so you can do that, and you can bring your spouse or partner for only $600 extra. That's $900 off of the regular price. Also, if you don't have the master guide system, And you can get on the website and see what all that includes. I don't want to take your time now to go into it, but you can get that for half price for only $797. So you can cash in, you can get both of those. And so just, if you want to sign up, go to the website. It's thenotebuyer.com. Click on the Academy page. You can even listen to some people's testimonials. Did you want to play a testimonial, Matthew?
I don't think we figured the audio out, so no.
Okay. So, but you can go on and listen to the testimonials yourself, and definitely check out that video at the end. That's David, and he's getting down. I'm telling you, we do have fun at the Academy as well. So I hope you'll be able to come. It's a great time. I would love to see you there. I will tell you that I have many, many students who close deals without coming to the Academy, but my most successful students are the ones that come. They're the ones that are able to just jump in and just, it's like they hit the ground running. So if you can make it, I would love to see you at the end of the month. And let me tell you, if the $1597 is holding you up, why don't you email or call the office number or email us at info@thenotebuyer.com, and we'll work something out. I really don't want that to stop you from coming, okay? We'll do a payment plan or figure something out for you, okay? So thank you for joining. Again, I'm very sorry we got a late start. I'm sorry we weren't able to do full video, but it didn't stop you from learning some really good reasons why, if you are a landlord, you really need to take a look at notes. I hope you got that message loud and clear, because you're really missing the boat if you're not doing notes. Don't miss the boat on September 27th. Sign up for the Note Buyers Academy. Oh, we have one more thing. Matthew, do you know who the winner of the negotiating audio set is?
Yes, the winner is Kevin Zamora.
Kevin Zamora, congratulations. You are the winner of the Negotiating is Not a Contact Sport audio classes. You're going to love them. I did these with Master Negotiator Gil Weiss, and we've got role playing and all kinds of stuff on there. You'll really enjoy them. Okay. So thanks everybody for tuning in and giving up your part of your Friday night. Have an awesome holiday weekend, and I will see you soon. Take care. God bless.